Hey there, if you like my training and you like my content, then please do like and share it and subscribe and get it out there to more people. Now, if you want to know more about how to manage your money, more about how to build wealth, how to save money, how to invest, how to become wealthier over time, then please do check out my free training. The government announced that they want to force children to learn more maths at school. Yeah, that's great, but I think a lot of the maths I learned at school was completely useless to me when I left school. I've never used algebra, for instance, but what I had to learn when I joined financial services was finance, was how to calculate compound interest, was lending money. I learned about mortgages, I learned about pensions, I learned about saving and investment. That's what they should be teaching children in school, and that's what I teach in my free training, because in 25 years as a financial advisor, I found that most people were not numerate, they were not financially literate, and that's what I think should be taught, because everybody should know more about how to manage their money and how to become wealthy and how to save and invest, because most people are totally blind. So check out my free training in the description below. Today's news is that property prices have slumped for the 4th month in a row. This is no longer anecdotal, or prices are falling, or agents are ringing you every minute to say they've discounted another property. This is actual fact now, as reported by the Halifax. Property prices have again slumped. It's even hitting the mainstream press now. You might be able to see there. House prices slumped for the 4th month as annual growth rate is also stalling. The annual growth rate, according to the Halifax's figures, these have dipped by 1.5% in the last month. So this is as a result, of course, of higher interest rates, recession, higher costs, lending being pulled back, because lending has also slumped to a 2-year low. So the lending in November was the lowest for 2 years. Average house price is now 281,272. That doesn't matter to people so much, that prices may have dipped by 1 or 2%. If you live in a property, it doesn't matter. If you want to buy a property to live in, it doesn't really matter, whether you buy now or in 6 months. I mean, waiting for the market to bottom, it can be a costly mistake. A lot of people have said, well, I'm going to rent for a few years until the market goes down. But you could be paying 15,000 a year rent, 30,000, maybe 45,000 if you go into the 3rd year, and the prices may have only dipped by 10,000. That's a silly example, but a lot of people in certain times of the market, I remember people selling. They thought, oh, the market had topped, I'm selling my property and renting, and they're going to buy when the market goes down, and they've got it wrong. I knew an economist that did that. He was a property economist. He completely timed the market wrong. So if you're buying to live in, and you can get a good mortgage and you get the right deal and it's in the right place, it's your forever home, just buy it. But if you're buying for investment, the figures don't add up. The normal buy-to-let with a 75% mortgage does not add up now. So buy-to-let is going through a tough period, and maybe that's why rents are also soaring, because there's a lack of buy-to-let properties coming on the market. I don't know. There's other factors for that, but we know that 85,000 landlords have quit the market in the last 5 years. So mortgage approval lending slumped in November to just 46,000, down from 58,000 in October. So 12,000 less mortgages were approved over that period. Annually, house prices grew just 2% compared to December 21, down from a 4.5% annual increase in November. So in November, the annual increase over the year was 4%, but in December it was just 2%, according to the Halifax figures. These are the Halifax own figures. Now they're going to differ from the nationwide figures. They will differ from the HMRC figures that you see published by the ONS. These are the actual land registry figures. But Halifax are one of the biggest lenders in the country, if not, they're certainly one of the biggest lenders. They control Lloyd's and Halifax and other buy-to-let specialist lenders as well. So they're pretty big. So if they say that the market's slumping, it probably is fairly accurate. It is accurate. So home buyers and buy-to-let investors were put off by massive mortgage increases. We've seen rates go up since December 21 to 3.5% from almost zero rates were so low at that time, but rates have really shot up since then. So that's obviously affecting the market, because lenders will not lend as much. Obviously that's going to affect the market. Now base rates are the highest for 14 years, and the banks are also talking about further rate rises to curb inflation, which actually has come down, and they've got this target of 2% inflation. But I think it's really unnecessary to hit the economy so hard when we know that inflation is caused by external factors. It's not caused by the market overheating as it has been with past inflationary pressures. This is due to soaring oil and gas prices, which have come down again, but we're still paying the high figures, and the war and all sorts of things. So I don't think that they're doing this in the right way. I think they could slow down on the tightening and higher interest rates. So the average 5-year fixed rate now is not quite 6%, it's just under 6%, but that's still 3 times as what it was in the past. You could get a 5-year fixed rate mortgage with just over 2%. Now it's just under 6%. So for people coming off of those fixed rates, they're going to be really hit by high payments as they come off. And understand 100,000 people a month will be renewing their fixed rates. But the banks have got together with the government and said, look, we've got to do something here, because we've got to be able to help people out. So maybe they're going to be a bit more flexible. Maybe they'll put people onto interest-only deals. Maybe they will give them a mortgage when they were, when they didn't even qualify, because on the higher interest rates, maybe they wouldn't even qualify for another fixed rate. So they are thinking about this, because they don't want a mass downturn as I've seen in the 90s, where lots of people were made homeless, lots of people were made bankrupt by lenders because they couldn't pay the balance on the mortgage, which was in negative equity. Yes, the lenders come after you for that. If you hand back the keys to your property and say, well, stuff it, the mortgage is more than the house is worth, they can come after you. I think at that time it was for 12 years, I'm not sure now, but they did go after people, and they made them bankrupt if they didn't pay back that debt. So economists have now, and experts have now predicted that the house prices next year, which are already going down, could fall by 10%. And that's this year really, to 2023. But some experts are saying 15, even 20%. So despite how high rates though, some householders are still borrowing against their credit cards. They're living on their credit cards, and that's the credit card debt is up by 1.2 billion. And people are actually pulling money out of their properties. That they pulled out another 4 billion from their properties on remortgages in November. Now there is some good news. A couple of weeks ago I was talking about making tax digital, this quarterly reporting that landlords and self-employed people would have to suffer. And let's face it, it's more red tape and bureaucracy. It's ridiculous. Well, fortunately the HMRC have put that off for another couple of years. That's not likely to come in until at least 2026, HMRC has announced. Well, I don't know whether they were doing that to help us or because they just couldn't get their act together. Maybe the billions they spend on software hasn't worked again, because they've wasted billions on software. HMRC, the NHS have all wasted billions of pounds on software. Nobody gets fired, nobody gets even arrested. So that's a bit of good news. But see my other videos, property predictions for 2023, where is the housing and rental market going. I've also done an episode with a Canadian property real estate master. He's in the top 1% of Canadian property. Have a look at his stuff. He's got some very good tips on Toronto property market, but also about cash flow business. He's got another business you wouldn't believe. It's making him money. It's a very simple business. So check that out. His name is Luke Leeson, a Filipino Canadian migrant who went there when he was very young. He's done very, very well in Canada. And do look at my other posts. What are you doing today to make your life better tomorrow? Now, the UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has announced these bold plans. We're going to make kids stay in school till 18 learning maths. Okay, now he's a geeky sort of economist type of guy, works in banks, and I do applaud him for saying, yes, people should be more numerate and know how to calculate their mortgage, for instance, how to deal with debt, how to deal with compound interest and understand percentages. But making them learn A-level maths, I think, could be counterproductive. What they really should be teaching is finance, business, how to fill in VAT form, how to do a self-assessment form, how to complete a mortgage form, mortgages, lending, credit score. That's the sort of thing they should be teaching in school, and that's it's not happening. It just doesn't happen. They should be teaching children about money and finance from very, very young. I'm trying to sort of show a young child from kindergarten. That's when they should be teaching kids how to handle money, even if it's very simple examples. If I give you £1 and you pay me back with interest, what does that mean? Oh, you're going to pay me back £1.10. Right. They should be understanding this from very young, and that's why I put out my own training, because I've dedicated myself to try and educate people on how to deal with money, how to be smart with money, how to really manage their money and create more wealth for themselves, to become more wealthy in their lives. That's what I've dedicated my time to, and that's why I put up some free training on the link there, so you can check for yourself and learn how to get good control of your money in the next 28 days through my Smart Master Your Money the Smart Way training. So thanks very much for listening. Do like and subscribe,